So in the class that's coming up next week, the Archery, Learning the Old Ways of Instinct, starts on September 23rd. Of course, doing a lot of fine-tuning of notes and whatnot, and reading about the Thompson brothers, especially Maurice. I've had his book, The Witchery of Archery, which came out in 1878. I've had that for years. Really interesting to hear their exploits as they hunted around Florida, some in Georgia. Maurice actually grew up in Indiana and eventually moved back there. But the interesting thing is that when it came to bow woods, they really valued sassafras, which is not these days typically considered a great bow wood. And I've always been curious about it. In fact, the first bow I made after my advanced standard class was a sassafras bow. So anyway, thinking about all this and doing some more research, and my dad told me that there's a sassafras that got topped back in our woods, so heading back there to check it out and maybe do some experimenting with sassafras. Should be pretty interesting. So here it is. It's you can see it's topped off way up there. There it is. Beautiful day out in the woods. Probably about 12 inches diameter, something like that. We've already determined about where we want it to fall to do the least amount of damage to the rest of the trees in the woods. It's actually leaning a little bit towards the right, but checking to make sure it's cut straight. That's the same chainsaw we had when I was a kid. We used to heat our house with wood. And getting the finishing cut on it. Give it a little push. Here's where we find out if it's going to be decent. Came down nice. And looks pretty good. Of course, got to count the rings. Turns out this tree was about 55 years old. Pretty old and straight for a sassafras in these parts. This is northern Ohio. And came out to be about 13 inches in diameter. And there's the part that got topped off by a storm that came through. Definitely gets wiggly up top. So got them back home. Got two nice 7-foot sections. This is, I had just sealed them with shellac. A little bit of checking, not too bad. This is just one day after. And gonna get ready to split them up. So I usually have about 4 wedges with me, and probably overkill, but I do like multiple wedges just to try to keep things straighter. And sassafras, this sassafras anyway, split pretty easy, not very stringy, split pretty straight, but it's a lot of pounding, as you'll see. With 4 wedges, pretty much never get in trouble with having all of them stuck. So that's what I like to keep around. And a little hand sledgehammer is usually all I use, unless it's going to be something like Osage, which is a bear. And kind of checking to see how the split's running, and so far so good. And then just hammer, split, replace wedge, hammer, split, replace wedge, over and over. It's hard on your back. don't know how much it weighs, but it's pretty heavy. Because this is maybe like 2 days later. Still a ton of moisture in it. Yep, heavy. So I had it marked out, trying to get 8 staves out of this one. I'd already done the smaller one and got 6 staves out of that. Trying not to be too greedy. And, after that first split, you can kind of tell, is this piece of wood, is this log going to split pretty true? And it did seem like it was splitting pretty true. So I thought I could probably get 8 staves out of it without seeming too greedy. And in fact, that's what happened. I'm just stacking them up off to the side. I'll show you that here in a little bit. Again, I usually use multiple wedges when I'm doing that first split. Just does seem to keep things a little bit straighter. And then most of the time I finish the split out on the bark side. Got a little machete just to cut off some of the stringers that are still there when you split it. Make sure you have your wedges out of the way. There it is. Some nice thicker rings as you get in about an inch or so. That's a picture of the sapwood and the heartwood. The sapwood is the wider stuff. And there they are, all drying. And then something trippy, because I can. So hope to see you at next week's class. Take care.